Martin and welcome to another great edition of MP Astro. And today, welcome to part 4 on the product review on the Skywatcher 114mm SkyHawk Newtonian reflector. Now, as you saw in part 3, I was testing out this telescope on a live observing session. Now, as you can see there, you saw a few images. Now, those images were taken directly from this telescope. I know they're very basic objects to view, but I wanted to keep it simple and to show you the optical quality of what this scope can deliver. Because it's a limited aperture and it is a starter's telescope for beginners or newcomers, I'm actually rather impressed optically with this telescope. Now, the images that you just saw there were actually not exactly the true image you see, and the reasons for that is I was using a 2x Barlow lens connected to my Canon DSLR camera, and the problem with that Barlow system is that focuser can't achieve focus. So those images you saw there, they were literally at around about f8, f9 focal ratio. And because it's increased the focal length of this telescope, and this telescope is an f4.3, I lost a bit of light. So when you start using this telescope, if you've got this telescope and you start using it, the images will be a lot brighter. So the only reason I had to use that Barlow is to achieve focus from that focuser. So those live images are true what you see, but they're a lot dimmer, and they could have been a lot enhanced if I could get this telescope to run at f4. However, as you saw on the last part, the image quality on this telescope is outstanding. And this is the thing about me doing these videos, is to show you guys and girls that good starter telescopes are out there available. As I mentioned before in my last videos about trash telescopes, again, please check those out. Alright, I've done part 1 and part 2 on how to buy a good telescope for Christmas and avoid the trash telescopes. Please keep watching those videos. Alright, they give out a very good, valuable information and a survival guide for you guys and girls out there to avoid the mistakes and buy something of good quality. I can't stress that enough. So if you're interested in buying this telescope and you want to learn more, I suggest you can check out the link at the bottom. Rother Value Optics sell this at a very good price. There are many other more good astronomy retailers out there as well that also sell this telescope at a great price. But please, with the situation we've got at the moment, alright, I know there's a lot of good people out there are doing an outstanding job to keep the situations at bay. Alright, I do appreciate what they are doing out there. Alright, and I'm going to give my gratitude to those guys and girls that are risking their lives. But also, we got to think about supporting each other as well. And this is the good thing about astronomy is it's a hobby, a passion, an interest that we can all share together. And it's doing that hobby to support everyone in difficult times. We just got to keep looking up and start to appreciate what we are seeing. It's all out there. There's a fantastic show, amazing things that can we see, and the thing is, this hobby will support us through the difficult times. Also, we need to support our local astro community. I know we can't be together, alright, because a lot of things we've got to segregate ourselves. But that's not to worry, you can still enjoy astronomy by looking up at home, okay? So I want you guys and girls out there to stay safe and enjoy the night sky, okay? It's all out there. We want to keep the astronomy alive and help the retailers being able to progress to also sell this fantastic equipment to us. And that's the key issue we've got. And again, if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe onto my channel. I will be publishing a lot more videos based on this stock equipment. And again, please hit the bell so you don't miss out on any other future videos that I'm going to be publishing. And believe it or not, I will be publishing a lot more video content to keep you guys and girls entertained throughout the tough situations. So from now on, if you're interested in this video and you want to find out more about this telescope, I'm going to take you to part 4, and we're going to keep on with the great work, and let's do this. So, we tried another night, and as you can see, we're in a storm. And as you can see, I'm not in the perfect conditions, as you can see there. The mount's wobbling everywhere. However, the mount is quite steady at stabilizing the view. But as you can see there, we've got good detail on the moon. With the wind. And again, it's when you're using this telescope, right, ideally use it in good conditions, ideally no windy conditions. But as you can see there, we've got some good detail on the moon. It's almost half moon, but I can see a ton of detail there. Now, as you see there, you can see the mountains, the craters on there with good detail. It is shimmering a bit, and the wind is playing havoc onto the mount. However, despite that, the mount is handling that wind quite well. So for the moon and all that, I mean, you can clearly see there through my camera, but that wind is terrible. But a ton of detail there, but the mount is holding out. Don't forget, I mean, literally 40-mile-an-hour winds here, and the storm is passing over us. But I thought I'd just take this opportunity to take some great images of the moon. I mean, this is what you'll see through the eyepiece, and this is quite amazing detail for that camera. And again, you'll see this through your 25mm or 10mm eyepiece with this telescope setup. So, just finished observing, and I've just brought the telescope back in. Now, as you notice, you can see down the tube, as soon as I brought it in, the mirror has totally moistened up. Now, like always, do not touch that primary mirror or the secondary mirror, because as soon as you bring it inside this warm environment inside your house, allow the optics to dry out. Okay, so once you finish your observing, dry all the optics out, leave the dust caps off, right, keep the tube at a horizontal position, right, including the eyepieces. These will all moisten up, and just let the heat get into the tube and dry out those optics. Usually it'll take about a good hour, maybe 2 hours. It depends how long the telescope's been out for a while. There it is there. It's totally just taken over the entire mirror. So let the warmth gradually warm that mirror, and it will dry out clear. Remember, do not touch that mirror, okay? Do not even attempt to use a rag or cleaning cloth or anything, because as soon as you apply pressure on that coating, you will scratch the coating. So leave it to dry out. Once dry, replace the dust caps. So now I've allowed the optics to dry out for a good 2 hours, and as you can see there, the primary mirror and the secondary mirror are fully dry. And once it's dry, you can now replace the dust caps and store the telescope safely. So everyone, what I want to show you is there's one slight problem with this telescope setup. Now, the biggest problem I've noticed, and the biggest flaw that I've noticed about this mount, is that this pier is not 100% brilliant at supporting. Now, the reason why I say that, even though these lock bolts are tight, you know, even if you tighten them up like so, alright, that's tight, okay? However, this is where the design flaw is. Even though when I slacken the clutches and I rotate the telescope, okay, alright, as I'm moving it, if you see here, this is what's happening now. The actual head on the mount is moving, and it should not be doing that. Now, that's something I need to highlight. Even though these are locked down, and even when this part here, the bolt inside that mounts onto the mount head, is really tight. It is so tight, it should not be doing that. I mean, look at that. Even when you rotate the telescope, all right, this should not be moving at all. So now I'm going to show you just a tripod and mount it directly onto the mount itself. Okay, that's tight. So, clutch is loose, and I can rotate the telescope. And already, look at this bottom piece here, the mount and the tripod is clamped down massively, right? There's no looseness. So you can use a telescope without the pier, all right? It's not a drama. To be honest with you, I don't think you really need the pier for this type of telescope. The pier only becomes useful if you've got a refractor or a long tube telescope. But for a reflector, you don't really need the pier as such. But the pier does have a purpose, but more or less for if you want a little bit more height. But for a Newtonian reflector, you don't really need it as such. But it makes the mount a lot more sturdier. And the thing is, with this being clamped down, you're not going to lose pole alignment at all. So the biggest flaw with this pier is this surface here. Right? For some strange reason, that this does not mate properly onto the mount base. Okay, and that's what's happening. Right, no matter how much you tighten this bolt here, it still becomes loose. And I've noticed that. I mean, it was okay when it was first brand new, but after a couple of uses, this was getting worse. So the solution to this, if you wanted to use the pier, okay, there is a way to do this, and it is very simple. Right, first off, we're going to do is get yourself a sheet of neoprene or foam rubber sheeting. Okay, this is around about 1mm to 2mm thick, and it's relatively easy to buy. Right, I'll provide the link in the description below if you want to order this. Right, and if you've got the same problem, this is a very quick, easy fix. All you have to do is flip it round, get a permanent marker. All right, now you can draw around here, however you get a smaller diameter. So the best way, what I find, is to use the actual base itself. Before you use the base, before you draw around the base, take off the existing ADHESIVE bolts for your pole alignment. You take them off. You then flatten the base, get your permanent marker, and you're going to draw all the way around as best you can. Right, it don't need to be proper neat as such. Okay, so you get a circle like that. You then get a pair of scissors. Get a pair of scissors and cut all the way around like so. Right. This can be a bit difficult to cut, so a heavy duty pair of scissors like this is going to be better. Or you can use a knife, a sharp knife, to cut all around the circle. Like so. So you've got a nice roughish sort of circle here. Now, to get the centre mark, if you want to, you need to put a hole in there. To get the hole, you just fold it in half, like so. And then fold again till you get 1/4. Okay? You only need to cut a little snip of it, like so. That's it. You won't get a decent sort of size, nice hole, but it's just a rough marking hole. Then what you do, peel back the adhesive. and stick it over this part here. You then grab your base and then you screw it onto there, like so. You can reposition it so the point is there, okay, and then you just tighten her up. You can then place the pier on top, like so, and then tighten her up that way. Okay, now we're going to mount it onto the tripod. So now we've got it mounted on. We've got, you can just see the little gasket here, all right, in between there. Both clutches are slackened, all right, and now we can move the telescope, and as you can see there, this is not moving, okay. As before, you could see this part here move sideways, up and down and everywhere. So as you can see there, that is now stopped that mount head from moving out of polar alignment. And something that I think Skywatcher need to highlight in this design is improvise some rubber grips or in between that to stop that from happening. We fitted the ADHESIVE bolts, and you can clearly see the gasket just there, and the only movement that you'll get is if you slacken these Allen bolts here. Okay, you only slacken slightly. The only movement you'll get on that head is when you adjust the polar alignment on each side. All right, that's the movement you should be getting. Okay, so this is the EQ head now that's now should be performing for polar alignment. So once you're polar aligning, you use these screws. Once you get to a point where Polaris is centered, once you get to a certain point, then you should just tighten up these screws, right? You just nip them up, okay? Don't need to over tighten them, just nip them up slightly, okay? So now that is what you should be doing, right? That's the only movement you'll get on that mount. So as you can see there, the gasket has not moved in between the pier or the mount base. Another point I'd like to share that I've noticed about the mount. Now the tripod legs are very good quality. They're good steel, aluminium tripod legs. However, as you can see here, the pier, because I've been constantly using the telescope, has actually worked these screws loose. And I don't know what it is. I think it's either the torque or whether you're turning the telescope round. This pier is acting like some kind of lever. So now what it's doing, it's working these screws loose. Now these screws are not a solid bolt that goes through. They're actually all threaded into the base of the tripod legs. And over time, they work loose. So what's happening there is if you're polar aligning in the field of view of your eyepiece, You just simply can't because of this. The movement here is excessive. Now, it's not a bad design of telescope, it's just one of those things with a lot of astro equipment. Not everything works 100% out of the box. There will be times where things will come loose over time, and you just need to tighten them up. And to do that is a quick fix. You get yourself a 5/32" Allen key, and you just tighten them up. Again, all you have to do is just tighten up periodically, right? Don't over tighten them, then you strip the threads. And you just tighten all of the 6 screws on each of the sides. That's all you need to do. So the thing is, you can't use thread lock. If you use thread lock adhesive, it's not going to work. These are meant to be just nipped up every time, okay, before you use the telescope. Once they're tightened up, you can tell straight away. I'm going to move it now. See how much improvement that is now. There's hardly any movement, okay? The only movement I'm getting is because of the tripod legs. They're only tip legs, but because I'm not on solid ground, I'm just moving the tripod because of the carpet. All right, it's the carpet that's doing that. But everything else, do you see how much improvement that is just by tightening them up? So every time you set up, just check these now, time for time. And with these being tight, your mount is not going to be wobbly. And again, like I said before many times, a wobbly mount is, it doesn't matter what telescope you have or how good the optics they are, if you have a wobbly mount, your views are going to be absolutely atrocious. You will not see anything out of it, because if you get an unsteady mount, you're not going to see anything. So a simple fix like that is going to save you a lot of time, a lot of frustration, and you're going to enjoy the views more just by checking it. Just check the accessory tray from time to time. Again, use a Phillips screwdriver. Just occasionally check each of these sides, these bolts. Okay. Now this is a very good accessory tray. I've not actually had any serious problems, to be honest with you. But again, these are very tight, so there's no need to do anything. But if they do become loose, at the bottom here, just tighten up the screws here. Alright, the accessory tray you can take out, but to be honest with you, I wouldn't advise it, because the accessory tray does actually help give out support to the tripod legs. So this plays a very important role for the mount and the tripod setup. Now the other point I want to make out is, if you're using bigger eyepieces, like I mentioned before, using decent eyepieces will help to boost the performance of your telescope. Your image quality will be so much improved when you use high quality eyepieces. Again, the eyepieces are just as equally as important as the optics on the telescope. And to be honest with you, the eyepieces you get supplied with the Skywatcher, they're okay, but they're not the best. I mean, those eyepieces are just to get you started, and like investing on a decent set of plottles or decent eyepieces will give your views a massive improvement on the contrast. You'll be able to see a little bit more, and you'll get much better field of view from them. And again, I've got like a really old but a very good high powered Spears Whaler eyepiece. Alright, this is great for planets. Unfortunately, it's a very heavy eyepiece. And the thing is with the focuser is designed for very small eyepieces, okay? You'd be okay with a 32mm plus hole, alright, as big as that. But anything else that are more specialized eyepieces, you may run into problems because the focuser is not the best focuser. The focuser is only really designed for observing. It's not designed for anything else. So if you mount a camera in there and whatever, you're going to get a lot of slop, and I'm going to show you the slop. Now this is not being adjusted by any means. Alright, and as you can see, I've got a lot of slop there. It's terrible, to be honest with you. And also with that slop, it's going to make your optics misaligned. So in other words, if you're looking at objects, they may appear to be out of collimation because of this horrible slop. Alright, this focuser is not the best, alright, but I'm not saying it's a bad focuser as such. It just needs a bit of tweaking. So there is a weight limit on this, alright. It can't take heavy duty eyepieces, and I think this is probably at its limits. So to correct this and help to improve on the performance so you get the best views, all you have to do is get your issued cross point screwdriver, and at the bottom you'll see 2 screws. As you can see there, it also slides as well, so it's not holding the position of the eyepiece, and that's what you don't want either. So all you do is with the screwdriver, you just tighten them up, right? Half a turn, right? As you can see there, I've got a bit of slop there. Again, tighten it up, half a turn each time. Alright, the slop is getting reduced. Keep going, half a turn again. Alright, the slop is going. The focuser is now starting to hold the eyepiece, and again we still got some slop. Okay. Now much better. There's a little bit of slop, but not much. But the free play, is massively improved. So as you can see there, just by adjusting those screws at the bottom, tighten them up, and as you can see there, I can now use that eyepiece without any massive concerns of the focuser sliding or slopping. Because it's a starter's telescope, it's only got the very basic equipment. And again, I'm actually quite impressed that the focuser is actually holding a high quality, heavy duty eyepiece. And it just shows you that it's not a bad focuser. However, I would prefer something better. So that covers more or less a few slight design flaws with this telescope. Apart from the pier, which I think is more of the problem that we have with this mount, it's not the best, but a few modifications and a few tweaks on this mount and the tripod will help to maximize the telescope's performance and making it much more stable, so you can start enjoying the night sky. Apart from the pier being the weakest link and the focuser not so great, everything else on the telescope is fantastic. The optics are fantastic. The image quality I'm getting from it is unbelievable. This telescope is such a joy to use. And to be honest with you, for a beginner just first starting out, I think this telescope is a fantastic starter scope for the money. Considering how much you've got to pay, you know, for cheap telescopes out there, the one key aspect that no telescope is good enough if it's poorly mounted. Point taken, there was a few glitches on this setup, but you can rectify them, and as long as you can follow these guides, so you can follow it up on your telescope setup, following the guide will help you improve the best performance out of your telescope. Again, I'm so impressed with the results. Alright, I've been able to observe quite successfully with this telescope, and the image quality is unbelievable. It really is. The collimation, I've not really had much issues. Believe it or not, this Newtonian's held its collimation quite well, and I've used it on a few observing sessions, right, and the collimation has been perfect. Because of that primary mirror being fixed, I was a bit dubious at first, but that parabolic mirror it's unbelievable. You know, there's a lot less working parts, and it's maintained the collimation. The only collimation you will be considering is the actual secondary mirror with the 3 screws. But even that is held collimation. But again, don't let collimation put you off. Newtonians are great telescopes for a beginner. I know some people don't like to invest in Newtonian, but believe me, you're getting a much better telescope compared to some telescopes for that kind of money. And aperture by aperture, a Newtonian will outperform a lot of telescopes. And the thing is with Newtonian, they're the cheapest telescopes to buy for the money. And aperture is your friend when it comes to observing. You know, the more the aperture, the more you can see, because all the light is being collected on a much larger diameter mirror or lens. Newtonian is ideal, is superb for beginners, and don't let this collimation issues cause you dramas, because to be honest with you, it's very easy. And again, I've highlighted on collimation. If you check out the links at the top, okay, I highlighted a similar collimator which can be achieved on this telescope. It's a very cheap collimator, and as long as you're collimated, your image is going to be fantastic. All right. And the thing is with a Newtonian is you're not going to get the false colouring compared to some refractors. Chromatic aberration, yeah, is a big problem with refractors. Unless you want to spend a ton of money on an extra dispersion or an apochromatic refractor, which costs thousands of pounds. A 140mm refractor will be 10 times as much price as this one, right? And this being around about the £200 mark, you're gonna, you know, this delivers apochromatic performance. Okay, the sharpness will not be as great compared to an apochromatic, but the colour-free optics will match it, and you'll be impressed on what you see from this basic Newtonian. So I hope this video has given you a few hints and tips along the way. I will be publishing now more video content, and this time, like always, if you're subscribed onto my channel, I highlight how to make things better. There will be limitations, I totally agree, and the telescope won't be expected to be an astrograph and all that, I get that. But the thing is, there's always ways and means of actually utilising your equipment and get something, right? And again, this telescope is designed for observing, and it's not designed for astrophotography. However, there is no limits, and believe me, there's no limits. You know, using your skill, using the knowledge, and adapt and overcome the situation, right, you can quite possibly get some really good astro images from this telescope. So please look forward to the next parts, right, coming soon. So far, with the telescope setup, would I recommend this telescope to a beginner? I will give this 4.5 stars. Not quite the 5 stars. And the reasons for that is I think that the pier is more of an issue. But everything else, the optics, that's delivering fantastic images. The mount is sturdy. Apart from not having a built-in polar scope, which would be nice, but you can still polar align, do a basic polar alignment with this basic setup quite well. I do like the clutches, but it's so easy. You can actually manage the telescope all in a one. Once you lock it up, you can move it around, and it's so easy to get to the controls. And that's what I like about this mount. It's really easy. As well as being steady, the controls are not there. You're not relying on cables, and you're bending round to get to certain points. The Skywatcher really designed a fantastic robust mount. I've not had any massive dramas with this mount whatsoever. But the pier, because I've dropped down, it's not the 5-star marks. The pier, I think, needs to be improved. It's not great, and to be honest with you, I think that is the main problem we've got. But the good thing is you can always remove it, and you don't really need the pier as such. To be honest with you, because it's a Newtonian reflector, you don't really need the pier, particularly if you're observing. So you could take the pier off and just use the mount and tripod and use the telescope that way. But I think Skywatcher really need to start focusing, making that pier just a bit better. The tripod legs, fantastic, lightweight, might be a bit too lightweight for my concern. However, you can always use some weights to weight it down and make it much more robust. Again, the mount is sturdy, and because where I live, I get a lot of strong winds. The mount has got very good dampening properties, and I'm literally be looking at an object. Right, if I do a few tweaks on the mount, the dampening down is tremendous. It's actually quite good. It'll dampen out within about a second, and then I've got a steady image. So the tripod legs are quite stable, and the mount is as well. And like I said before, no telescope is good enough unless it's mounted on a decent mount. And this mount does deliver the goods. Lightweight, portable, and that's the thing with a good starter telescope. You want something that's going to give you a decent aperture with a decent mount. It may not have a go-to. It may not have a polar scope, but it's a basic telescope where beginners can start using it and start enjoying and observing the night sky. So please look forward to the next parts. I will be covering new ways to improve on this telescope. Hopefully maybe a super tune series, and we'll start to push the limits of this stars telescope. And believe me, anything is possible. There is no limits to astronomy, and the whole idea is to push it out, this content, to you guys and girls, that astronomy has no boundaries. You can take this further afield. There is no limitation. Don't let budget put you off. It's not all about well, you've got to spend a ton of money. No, it's not. If you expend your ideas and your knowledge, you can get an amazing quality of images or observing with basic equipment. So please, guys and girls, please look forward to new videos coming out, and most of all, so please stay safe, and I wish you all clear skies.